Uh,
Yeah.
this for Java backend developer, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Okay. So can you explain briefly about yourself, like, and how many years of experience and how many organizations have been changed and what's your role?
Yeah, sure. So currently I'm working as a Java developer in
Hmm.
Quiz Global Interview Services. Total which I have 9.6 years of experience. In 9.6 years, I worked five years in the fintech domain where I contribute my services for the customer like Citibank, Deutsche Bank, and Barclays. Later, I worked for the customer that is Amadeus Lab for the transportation domain. And currently, I'm working for the customer that is Alstom. So Alstom is one of the leading software provider for the railway software. So currently I'm working on the project that is a railway refit. So in this project I just uh, working as a 2.6 years I worked in this project, and where I just taking end-to-end ownership of my modules. So I am a owner of four modules. So like GPS, RTD, and time integrator. So these are the modules, SDA converter. So these are the modules where I have a ownership. So I have taken care of these modules. Along with I also having a, so currently total I worked on four organizations. So first organization is SPL Technology. Second one is a FIS, and then ITC Infotech, and fourth one is a Quiz Global. So if I come from my current project, so in my current project it's a railway refit, and where I just taking care of end to end from taking the requirement from the stakeholders, analyze the requirement, and then go for the all the implementation testing and commit the code by Git, and maintaining it to code base in the big bucket. And for CI/CD tool, we go for that Jenkins. And apart from that, I also helping the juniors developers also for if they stuck somewhere in the implementation part and go for the code review part. If there's any code qualities they are missing, so I help him. So these are the some of the roles and responsibilities which I'm taking care of it. So currently we already delivered my product that is for the railways of the Europe, and so currently I'm just looking new opportunity, and also I am a currently immediate joiner.
Sounds good, Amol. Okay, so we'll go like this. So first we'll go with any solid principles and the OOPS concept on the collections and follow up with Spring Boot and microservices. Is it okay if I right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So coming to the first point, what are the solid principles, Amol?
Yeah, so solid principle, it stands that S stands for single responsibility principle, O stands for open and close principle, L stands for request substitution principle, and I for interface segregation principle, and D for dependency inversion principle. So what is state that for single responsibility principle tells that whatever the method you are creating, it should be single responsibility. It should not be multiple responsibility. You should not be creating in a single model. So that's a single responsibility principle. And if I go for the open and closed, it means that whatever you are building, it should be open to scalable and closed for that modifications. Means it should be your application should be scalable in nature and closed in that particular modification. So that is a O stands for. L is for request substitution principle. It means your parent class should be totally substituted to the child class. It means what are the properties of your parent class should contain all the properties in the child class. Along with you can add some more functionality also. And fourth one is the interface segregation. It means if there is any multiple methods are in one interface and which is not in use and which is not frequently used, so we segregate that particular methods in different interfaces so that we don't require to implementing all the unused methods. And fourth one is a dependency inversion principle. It tells that what are the modules used as high level modules. It should not be having knowledge of the lower modules. Means that they should be not required to having a knowledge of the internal implementation if we use anything. So that is the abstraction between high model and low models. So this is a solid principle.
Okay. So do you know, like, what's the difference between hash map and the concurrent hash map?
Hash map is a see, one difference is that whenever any hash map is the uh, fail fast and concurrent hash map fail safe. It means we can do the concurrent modification in the concurrent hash map, but we cannot do in the hash map. Second thing is that the locking system means the because the locking of the concurrent hash map in a segment level. It means we can do having the full light off for the axis of the reading in all the segments and the locking only one where the modification is happening. But in a hash map, the locking is happening at the object level. So it will reduce the performance of that particular hash map. So these are the common and also it's we can like for example that uh, what we can say that so these are the main difference between hash map and concurrent hash map.
Okay. So when to use the hash map and when to use the concurrent hash map, Amul, as per your theory?
So see, whenever there is a modification is maybe required, so suppose that we are iterating something and there's chances of the multi-threading environment we require some modifications. The chances, so we have to use the concurrent hash map because if we are not using it, so it will be giving the exception that is concurrent modification exception. In this case, we have to use concurrent hash map, and if it is single child and we don't require modification much on during the iteration, then we use the hash map.
Okay. So in this case, when you come to the part of Java 8, we have a functional interface, right? So what is a functional interface?
Functional interface is when we having a one method, so it comes as a functional interface, which having only one method, which is abstract SAM. Single abstract method is called a functional interface, and which is implemented by the lambda expressions. We can do it.
Okay, if that's the case, how many bifunctional interfaces we have?
Sorry, how many?
Bifunctional interfaces.
By function like by consumer, by supplier. So these are the some functional interface which is available in Java 8. So and we can using uh, supplier by consumer. So these two are there. Otherwise,
We
some
have
are
two
like
more.
supplier.
We have two more, Amol. We have predicate, we have consumer, supplier, and function.
Yeah, yeah. So
Can
it's
you
all a
can
functional interface. Yes.
yeah? Can you explain what does some predicate do?
See, predicate we are generally used with the filters. Predicate is giving that some conditions is there. We are putting some condition in predicate and we check it that particular condition is fulfilled or not. So it predicate that one and we see that if the condition fulfilled, then we are returns true and we can include that one.
So
So
can you
it's
give that
called a
any method example for that?
yeah, sure. Suppose that I just putting one predicate means if somebody go for the voting, that age is, should be more than 18 years. It should be 18 or more than 18 years. We just use some predicate there, that conditions, and then we just go for the stream and filter with predicate. So whenever we just see the all the candidate list and we just use this predicate, so we are getting the values uh, uh, we are getting the candidates who's having age of 18 and above by using these predicates.
Okay. What about the consumer? Okay, leave about the consumer. What about the function?
What is the
Function.
function?
Yeah.
Yeah, function we are using functions to function is simply whenever we are called any method in which some function you are asking in Java 8 you are asking about function. So whenever anything we just have to implementing something, then we are creating a some functions and we can use it that one. But I don't exactly recollect that there is a one more. Uh,
Okay.
uh,
The one which we can take input and also gives the output is called like that's a function or like in the function we can do such type of a method level we can do it. Okay. So that's a function. Okay.
okay, yeah, okay, yeah. So
Method
that's an
level of
method
logics
to
can be
implementing
done
something,
inside the
inputting,
function.
and we providing some output. Yeah, correct. Yeah, yes, correct.
So coming to the next point, like in the collections, do you know? I mean, in the Java 8 itself. So after the stream, in somewhere we will be used group by. So if it's a required of group by, somewhere we'll use any collectors dot to map or something, right? So what I need is, what's the difference between the grouping by and the dot to map?
See, grouping by we are using whenever we just wants to collect the data on the basis of some grounds. Suppose that we want that that particular we have to group on the basis of gender. So means is grouping by gender, and then we have to collect all the list, that what is the list of the person whose gender is male. So like this, we are just making a output whenever we want to creating the output on the form of some some group base like gender or some percentage. So this in this case we are using some grouping by operations.
Okay, in map also I can use the same, right? Say suppose, as you told the male and you are giving it a list of whether male or a female, okay? So in the same way, if I go within a map, I can give the key as a male and the collection of people who are males and the collection of people who are females. Then what's the difference between the grouping by and dot map, dot to map?
See, grouping. See, whenever you have the n number, large number of lists are there. Okay. Suppose that you're having a hundred of data are there. Okay. So at a time, if you just putting that, we have to just go for that whole logic that we have to just see the map, we put it, and then we providing the that particular name of that particular list. We are adding that particular list, and key is a male, putting that name of that particular candidate, and again mail in the candidate name. So it will be very tedious and time consuming for that. To just overcome these problems about it, we just using this stream. It is more faster and it is very compact to just get the output in a more in a more structured way for the large
Okay.
data set especially. Yeah.
Okay. Um, okay. So coming to the part of the microservices, if you want to handle the exception in a class wise, so what's an annotation you're gonna use?
See, for exceptions, we having a two way. One is we use exceptional annotation. We can use it where we providing the value of that particular exception what we are just getting.
That's a
If
method
we have
level
to
exception.
providing some
I was
global
saying about
level of exception, then we are using controller advice.
it's any method level exception. I was asking about the class level exception, and you said it's in a controller advice, right? So the controller advice is a global exception handler or just like in
Correct.
class.
So it's whenever we have to just handle at a global level, then we are using controller advice. Otherwise, there is one more way. Suppose that we just trigger some compatible feature, you use it. Okay, so we just providing some asynchronous one, and we just provide one exceptionally. There is a one exceptionally. So whenever any task is we are getting exception, so then in exceptionally we are handle it and provide some default value. So that is the one way we can also use it inside the class level by
Okay.
using asynchronous
Suppose in
feature.
the module there were two layers. One is keep it as in a control. Sorry, and one it is keep it as in a service layer, and one more just keep it as in some one more layer. Okay. So you are trying to call from service layer to the other layer. Okay. And there in the second layer you get in some exception. So as you told, controller advice in a global exceptional handler. So when you say it's in a global exceptional handler, so if you write any controller advice in a service layer and if you get an exception in the second layer, is it gonna handle it or not?
See, for if it is global exception, we should not keep. We have to keep in a separate files for that for global exceptions. If there is any SST, currently we are using a exception like we having a that one exception we generally a number that uh, um, casting exception. Okay, so for casting exceptions, we generally use this whenever we go for type casting exceptions. We just making in a one separate package, and in this we just making in a one exception. So whenever we having some exception, so we are calling uh, uh, that particular class, which is we have the separate module we are just keep it, and there we don't require to write all the things. We just call that one and just providing the data which we require to show to the user what type of assessment we are getting. So like this, we just maintaining if there is a different layers, we can maintaining like this, which I just implemented in my current project separately.
Okay, so as your word says, suppose the controller advises we need to give in the parent level class, and from the parent level class we can call to the child classes. So from there, if we got any exception, we can be get handled, right?
Yes, yes,
Are you
correct.
sure? Are you sure?
Yeah. So means that is a means we are not using at that time controller device. We simply call that particular class because if I remember that we are just creating a separate package and creating a one exceptions class, which is generally we just having which we generally trigger frequently. So we can just call that particular class and just use. At that time we don't require use controller advice. We generally calling that particular method and use it. So like this, I just implemented for mainly for the global exceptions.
Okay, so just okay. So
If
if
anything
it's an a
happens, then
REST,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, if it's an for an a REST APIs, how you write the controller advice for the REST APIs or like a controller layer? How what is the annotation you're gonna use for a controller layer?
So in controller layer, so firstly, we are just using a REST controller, FGD REST controller, and there we are just creating a one auto wire with the services. Suppose that employee services are there, so auto wire employee services. That service one we just call that particular method. We
No, I
using a
am asking the different question, Namol. I asking is all about in a controller layer, if any exception is getting from an endpoint or something called as an suppose you are like in the crude operations itself, you're trying to update something, okay, and when it's trying to update, it got failed, and you are returning in some exception. So at this time, what you gonna do in the rest calls? What is an annotation are you using for making any exception handlers?
See, I just giving one clear image about that. See, in this case, firstly, we having any exception in the service class. We not maintaining any dead one. We just
No, wait.
auto wire that
So
particular.
you're saying in controller layer, you guys are not writing any exception, right?
No,
Not
no,
at all.
we are not writing.
Not at all.
No,
Okay.
not at all.
So if
Not
this
writing.
if that's the case, suppose if any of the thing has been happened at the time of connection from an accrued operations itself, the before touching to the service layer, like any some dead in endpoint or something kind of. Okay, so at that time also you can't debug it where the issue is if you are not writing the exceptions in a controller layer. How you gonna manage it? You said that in the controller layer you are not at all writing any exceptions. But the layer controller layer itself it's not calling to the service layer and you're getting any exceptions in any controller layer itself. Then how you gonna work it out? That's my point.
Sure. So in this case, what we do, I just taking one example of my current project that is art is that is real time data. So what we are doing it, we are just having a one interface there. Okay. So whenever any request is coming, accordingly we just call that particular controller class. When any controller class we are not able to get it any data, and if it is request is not there, then we are giving exception in that particular interface that this controller class is not able to fetch it. So at that interface point, we are just providing it. So in this
Why
structure, we
should
call that.
why should you need to go and you need to check the interface and all,
See,
right?
actually, what happened? Different projects having different structure. So in my project, what the structure is that we have to communicate with that. Suppose that some uh, audio integrator is there. So in train, there is a different integrator they're using, like audio integrator which giving the announcement part, and time integrator giving your time, and like that real time data that is providing the real time data of the train. So at that time, whenever anyone wants to real time data (RTD), so it will call that particular endpoint and that trigger the interface of that particular endpoint, and that calls the controller. So that's why we are using this particular interface, so that whenever any notification comes, so we just get it from the interface and call that
But
controller.
even though if you
This
have
structure,
maintained 5 to 6 modules, it's been very hard to find it out, right?
actually, be
In
honest,
out of
we
5 modules also, if it's have in a controller layer, it's very hard to find it out. right?
See, till not we did not get it any issue about for the finding because whatever it's a very proper loggers we are using it, so we come to know that what is the
Loggers,
exactly.
that's what. See, loggers again, you need to go back and again you need to check it the Splunk or in a console, and again you need to come back and again you need to check the code. So in
Correct,
the
correct.
Splunk also you need to check it whether where's the issue. But even in the controller layer itself, you didn't return any exception. Then how can you get a logs in the Splunk? That's my point, dude.
See,
Right? Okay, fine. I'm just giving any. I don't want to make any much debate on this one. So for these situations, we'll use an annotation REST controller advice. So this is an annotation called as REST controller advice where we can accept the whole controller layer exceptions and all. Okay, that's one point. That's one point. Okay, coming to the one thing. So that you have been working on the modules and seeing like in the payment and all, like you're seeing you're working on. So the point is at the rate transactional. What is the properties that transactional are working on? Are using or the what the properties or the transactional properties are using.
sorry, come again. I did not get it. Means your voice is breaking.
Just give me a second. Monica, Monica. Yeah, I'm sorry. For the transaction, we have an annotation called as an at the rate transactional, right?
At the rate transaction management we are using. Enable transaction management we use
Okay.
annotation. Yeah.
So in the transactional, we have some properties called atomicity, uh,
Mm-hmm.
acidic properties, ACID,
Correct, correct. Mm-hmm.
atomicity, C for consistent, I for
Consistency,
isolation, D for
yeah.
I forgot what is the D for
Durability.
durability. Okay,
Yeah.
so my question is all about in the acidic properties, if the transactional is using an acidic properties, then where does this rollback come from?
See, so in this case, the rollback is coming whenever there is a transaction is failing. Okay, so we having that's why it's we are using transaction management, accurate transaction management annotation we should be used so that rollback we will happen and which will be handled by the fault tolerance and we also providing the fault tolerance also if any services is down at a time and